everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Josie. This is my second channel, Josie Cares. And I always say this is my serious channel. I've done several videos on grieving. Actually, when I first started my first channel, I did some videos on that channel. But today I want to go through and kind of summarize some of the things I've said before. Excuse me and my allergies. Also, in my research, I have found some of the things not to say. Now, I will be reading a lot of this. I made notes. Also, as I said in my past videos, I have started a book. I have about 45 pages, and I should be ashamed of myself. I've never finished it. And the reason why I started it after I've had several losses and I read maybe 3 books on grieving, I decided I wanted to write one more in layman's language, more so the average person could understand. Because, you know, when you're upset, you're emotional, you're not wanting to try to figure out some detailed large vocabulary words. You just want someone to tell you how to handle it or give you some encouragement. So first of all, I came across, which I thought, the things that people say, and I will use it for an example. I try not to keep this so much personal, but when my daughter was very ill, she had muscular dystrophy, and she was very, very thin. No matter what she ate, she didn't put weight on. And the doctor told me, you know, feed her anything. If she wants milkshakes all day, nothing put weight on her. And one of the worst scenes that I seen, we had went downtown shopping, and some lady that we known, not really well, but she was in the neighborhood, she looked at my daughter and she said, "Oh, how come she's so skinny?" And I could see my daughter's face. She just broke down and was devastated and hurt. And I didn't say anything because I didn't want to make a scene, but I would have liked to slap that person in the face. That was so cruel, and my daughter talked about it when we went home. So, and by the way, I've had a couple of more requests. You know, right now, there's so many people grieving. I found this to help you understand what typically comes off as hurtful rather than helpful. Here are 19 things. When someone's grieving, how are you doing? Okay. What do you expect them to say, really? Do you expect a person who is grieving and in tears to say they're fine? You'll be okay after a while. Right now, that person can't see the future. That person is only thinking of how they're hurting at that time. I understand how you feel. No one understands how you feel. Even if you've been in that circumstances, sometimes your life is different than the other person. You don't know how that person feels. You shouldn't feel that way. Stop crying. Now, stop crying. That is a ridiculous one. I can watch a movie and cry. I mean, crying's good. You get it out. You get those emotions out. At least he is in a better place. His suffering is over. Yes, suffering is terrible. And when somebody's suffering, you want them to no longer suffer. But the person who lost a husband, a child, a parent, a friend, a relative, even an animal, they don't want to hear that. At least she lived a long life. Many people die young. You might think that, but you don't say it. I mean, when I hear of an elderly person like in their late 90s, I feel like, wow, how many of us are going to live to be that old? You grieve, but it's easier to accept, I would think. She brought this on herself. Not the thing to say to a parent. Say their child was taking drugs. Yes, that person did it to themselves. But a parent or family member does not want to hear that, even a friend. Aren't you over him yet? He's been dead for a while now. Well, again, God's in charge. Yes, God is in charge. But again, that person doesn't want to hear that. She was such a good person, God wanted her or needed her more than you did. You don't want to say that either. You're young, you can still have other children. That is really cruel. After my daughter passed away, I didn't have any more children. I had 2 children, but I didn't plan on having another one, a 4th one. And you don't know, maybe that person is unable to get pregnant again. You just don't say these things. He was just a dog or a cat. Let's face it, our fur friends have become family. And I had a little dog named Nutmeg. She was a little Shih Tzu. And I used to call her my little girl. I loved her to pieces. You still miss them and grieve. You have to be strong for your spouse and your children. Or the comment, just move on. These are the things you do not say to someone who's grieving. Everyone grieves at a different level and time. And originally, my other videos, I started off with 5 stages of grieving. Now they've added, there's 7 stages. And I'll read the 5 first. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Now there's shock and denial, pain and guilt, anger and bargaining, depression, the upward turn, reconstruction and work through, acceptance and hope. And also, you can go through these stages several times. Eventually, I always said, if you can't let go within a couple of years, in fact, I'll take that back. I think if you can't start living again within a year, you need professional help. I think the first year, now after my daughter passed away, the first year was kind of a blur. When I think back, there are certain things that stick out in my mind, but a lot of the stuff I forgot. And like they tell you, when you lose a spouse, you shouldn't sell your house the first year. You shouldn't make major decisions because your mind is not what it should be. The things that you should say, or not should say, that you could say, let's put it that way. I'm so sorry for your loss. I wish I had the right words. Please know that I care and I'm here for you. And I think that most people who have lost a loved one will tell you when that person first dies, you know, you may have family close by, church members, people bring food, and you have all this caring, feeling, attention. But after the funeral and a few days later, everybody goes on with their life, which is normal. That's the time the person really needs someone to maybe make phone calls, take them out to lunch. I had a neighbor years ago who lost her husband, and instead of sending flowers, I waited, a month or two, and then I contacted her and I said, let's go out to lunch. And we started going out to lunch once a month. These are the things that help. At least, I mean, this is my personal opinion, so take it or leave it. But I think in losing a child, and like I said, I've always said, losing a child is the worst loss you could ever go through. People, like at first they give you lots of attention. Oh, I remember, the church, and everybody we knew brought food over. And then eventually everybody goes on with their life, and they have to. So just try to remember, and you don't have to say words, just let them know that you're there for them. Let them talk. You can say, I can't imagine how you feel. When I lost my father, I felt. Then listen without judgment or criticism. I'm here for you. Better yet, if there's something that you need, let me know. Can I go to the funeral? Do you want to talk about what happens? And then just be present. Share a memory about the person. Maybe something that is real special, or something that person said that may help the surviving relatives. Be empathetic. And it's okay to show your feelings. Continue connecting after a few months. So there's good things to say, and there's things that you shouldn't say. I know, and grieving is not just for death, for divorce, breakups, boyfriend, girlfriend type of thing, losing an animal. Children go through, and I did do a video on children grieving. And so many times we as adults, and we're going through all this grieving, we forget that our other children are hurting too. And I kind of lacked on that part. My daughter passed away when she was 9.5, and her brother was 14.5 months younger than her. And then my youngest one was only about a year, so he doesn't remember. But my older son, and I probably didn't spend as much time as I should have and listen. And a year later, I heard him crying, so I went into his bedroom. And this was a year later. And I said, what's wrong? And I put my arm around him, and he said, Mommy, am I going to die too? And I think back then too, we didn't have the information, there's good and bad things about social media, and Google, that we have so much more access to education and information. And this is before I became a nurse, so I didn't have the skills. Let's see here. For example. Oh, this was an example I found. A woman who was 28 years old, and she lost her husband that was 30. And someone said to her, at least you're young. You can find someone else. Not good. Not good. Anyway, let's go. I'm going to go through the parts of what I have written in my book about denial. And this is not happening to me. Doctors have to be wrong. Must be an error in the test results. Maybe they mixed up results with someone else. You know, not making fun of this, but this actually has happened. Doctors and labs have mixed up test results. But we're talking about denial now. I think everyone goes through denial. I did not so much when I lost my husband, because at that time I was a nurse and he had cancer and also some other health issues. So I really didn't go into denial. I just tried to prepare myself. And he fought cancer for 3 years. Anger. Why me, Lord? What did I do to deserve this? Why, oh why? Wanting to fight back. This also, anger it's a hard thing to deal with. But I guess it's good to get it out of your system. I've always had a strong faith, and so that helped me, because I didn't blame God. I was never angry at God, but a lot of people are. Bargaining, attempting to make a deal with God or someone that is leaving you, like a divorce. And on a divorce, if you have to beg someone to stay, if someone really loves you and cares for you, they won't leave. But when you're in that position, you're not thinking about that. But I think everyone has bargained with God at times. It's just a natural thing. We don't want disaster in our life. We want our loved ones to stay with us. Depression, overwhelming feeling of hopelessness, frustration, bitterness, self-pity, feeling of just wanting to sleep, isolate yourself from friends and family. And what I've always stressed in my other videos also, don't isolate yourself. That is the worst thing you can do. You might need a few days of, yes, being alone with your thoughts. But after time goes on, you don't have to be around a lot of people, but you do need to be around someone. Someone who will just listen and not tell you what to do. Like I said, and I stress this all the time, there's no time limit for grieving. But there comes a time when you have to go on. And I don't think your loved ones that have left this world would want you to give up living. You always have those memories in your heart. No one can take those away from you. As long as you're in your right mind and you remember, no one can take those away from you. And they would want you to go on. But don't allow people to tell you how long to grieve. how to handle your life. If you have a strong faith in the Lord Jesus, even when my husband was dying of cancer, I think that's what really got him through it. He read the Bible, every page, from cover to end, 3 times. And other than once, he said, I have to admit, I'm scared. He handled it beautifully. He had a strong faith. That does help. Acceptance. Time to accept a loss, realizing the person is gone, and you can go on with your life, even finding the good that comes out of the pain you have endured. Having goals towards personal growth, maybe even going out with close friends and starting to take care of yourself. This is how I felt. I felt that I'm talking about now losing a spouse right now, not a child, losing a spouse. I gave 100%, took care of my husband. He was in the hospital bed in our living room. I slept on an air mattress. I had very little sleep for 3 months before he passed away. I was relieved, and I knew he wasn't going to get better. The cancer had metastasized to his brain, and watching him go down, like he lost so much weight he couldn't eat. I think the only thing he ate the last few weeks was pudding and Jell-O. It was a relief. I'll be honest, I missed him, but it was a relief. You don't want someone that you love to suffer. I tried, in my nursing career, I did not push my faith on anyone or try to give advice. You have to be really careful. You have to stick to the medical, but yet be compassionate and have empathy. But I remember there was this case where, and this was in a nursing home, this lady who was, I think, in her 90s, this has been years now, so I don't remember exactly how old she was. And she was suffering, and we all knew that she was going to die soon. And the family couldn't understand why the doctors couldn't cure her. She was in her 90s. And the family could see, even with pain medication, she was suffering. And all I said to them once is, imagine yourself in that bed right now. What would you want? And I didn't have to say any more. They were fine. Sometimes, you have to be really careful what you say or what people say to you, but sometimes you have to point things out like that. It's hard. Like I said, I've always believed, and I know this is way off. Probably someone will think this is ridiculous what I'm going to say. But I've always believed that death should be taught at a very young age with faith. Not teaching it scary, but with your faith, with your whatever religion you believe in. It's a subject that no one wants to talk about. It's kind of like if you don't talk about it, it's going to go away. And it's not. We were born and we're going to die. And I've watched people just absolutely fall apart and not be able to handle it. It's like it was never going to happen. I think if it's taught to children in a gentle way, not scary way, and taught with your faith, it would be a little easier as an adult. No, it wouldn't solve all the grieving and mourning, but you would be a little more realistic. And there was another incident that left a mark in my mind. I took care of this lady who, I think she was in her late 80s, and she knew her time was coming. She was very ill, and her family came in to visit her. And when they left, I went into her room and asked her if she needed anything, and I think it was time for her medication. And she looked at me and she said, "I was so glad they left. My family left." And I said, "Why? Why would you want your family to leave?" And she said, "Because I want to talk about my death. I want to talk about it, and they won't allow me to. They won't allow me to express my feelings like it's just going to go away." And I never forgot the look on that lady's face. And I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to comfort her. What do you say to someone who really wanted to talk about it and they couldn't? And I think I'm reading one of my, it's right in front of me. I put it in my own words, but I wrote this in my book. And I will read it to you. "I want to address the first stage denial in my nursing profession. One of the patients I was taking care of one day said to me, 'I'm so happy my family left.' I said, 'Why do you feel this?' She said, 'I'm dying and they won't even allow me to just talk about my feelings. I want to say so many things before I go. I need and want to take care of this.' So I listened and learned so much from this lovely lady. This patient knew her time was coming to an end. She just wanted to tell them things she had never said before, like 'I'm sorry' or 'I love you,' or just talk about something from the past. After this day, I learned so much, like accepting or trying to face things that are out of our control. It made me become a better listener. To me, this is the worst stage and the most difficult of all grieving situation." So I think what I can talk about the most in any of this type of grieving is the best thing you can do is be a good listener. And you can help the person who is grieving by just listening. Take them out to lunch. Call them on the phone and make sure they're okay. Maybe send some flowers later. They get flowers at the funeral, but send them a bouquet of flowers, or a plant is even better, because a plant you can keep for a long time. But I've had some emails about, someone losing a spouse. They've been married for many, many years. It's so hard. And I have found, between my professional career and my personal, that men have a harder time accepting a loss than a woman. In fact, men usually will remarry sooner after losing a spouse, especially if they had a good marriage. Now this sounds weird. I may offend someone, and I know that, but I'm sorry. This is what I've learned. If you've had a good marriage and you love the togetherness, you're more apt to find another spouse or attempt to. You're hoping to meet someone because you enjoyed your married life. Now, if you had a bad marriage, that could be totally different. But I have found that men do remarry sooner than a woman. Maybe because they like their laundry and someone to cook for them. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in. So, anyway, if you have any questions, please comment below. I'm going to try to do more of these. And like I said, especially now, there's so many people that have lost loved ones. And hard to handle. And when you look at, do some research. I know, and I'm not mentioning the word, a lot of people have passed from that. But look at the percentage. More people die from heart attacks than anything else. Or drugs. So try to educate yourself. Try to do some research. And there's some good professional help out there. I know sometimes if there's a money problem, it's hard. And I'm not sure if insurance companies even pay for their, therapists. I guess depends what type of insurance that you have. But there's a lot of professional help out there. Don't just stay home and wither away. Stress and mental issues can cause physical problems and physical diseases. So get help. There is hope for the future. Never give up hope. What I say all the time is never give up. And I'm trying to be really careful and not talk, religion, because I know it might offend someone, but my faith in the Lord Jesus is what's made me strong and what gets me through each and every single day. So, if you do believe, ask people to pray. I have and I'm not trying to advertise my prayer group on Facebook, but I do have 66 people in there, and I think in numbers we're strong. Pray for each other. But again, if you're grieving, you lost a child, you lost a spouse, you lost your parents, you're going through a divorce, you lost an animal that you love like your own child. If you can't cope with the grieving, get help. Please get help. And you don't see it right now, but there is life after death. And you can find happiness again. I have. And that's what's kept me going. And I've had a lot of losses in my life, because anyone who knows me knows I'm no spring chicken. I am old. And you can get through this. And you'll look back and you'll say, I wonder how I did it. But you'll get the strength. God bless you, and hope you got something out of this video. I will try to do more. I like doing a lot of research before I do a video, and I try to, put my nursing career and my personal feelings a little bit in my videos without just having the complete video being about me. That, like I said, if you have any questions, if you just make comments below. And I know a lot of people do they have my email, and on some of my videos, I think I have my email listed. You can send me an email, and I will answer. Bye, everyone, and God bless.